Good morning. Today is Thursday, June the 11th, and this is our weekly COVID-19 update briefing. As of this morning in Bossier Parish, we have had 478 positive cases and 26 deaths, the same that was mentioned a week ago. By the Governor's Proclamation number 74 on June the 5th, we did in fact move into phase 2 of the recovery, and it's effective through this latest proclamation is effective through June the 26th. Note that's a 3-week time period, which is a little unusual, but on June the 26th is when hopefully we'll meet the criteria to go into phase 3. To do this, it's going to be incumbent on all of us to continue to do the following things. For example, vulnerable individuals should continue to shelter in place, and the definition of vulnerable is people 65 years of age or older and people with such serious underlying health conditions such as high blood pressure, obesity, diabetes, chronic lung disease, asthma, and those with immune system compromises. And also the CDC has a couple other definitions of what may be a symptom for vulnerable people. When in public, such places as parks, outdoor recreation and shopping areas, in social settings of more than 50 people, they should be avoided where appropriate distances are not practical. The governor also said that even though it's not mandatory, he would suggest people that are going to these places and they walk in at this new limit of 50%, if they see big crowds, they might be well advised just not to enter those businesses when they see ones that are not complying with it. Non-essential travel can resume during phase 2, and employers are suggested to continue telework where possible and feasible. Non-essential travel can be resumed. I mentioned the employees are suggested that they close common areas or enforce strict social distancing in those places where people tend to meet and chat. The employers should strongly consider special accommodations for vulnerable people. In phase 2, we can test a great deal more emphasis on testing and contact tracing after that. The governor set a goal of over 200,000 tests per month, and we're already exceeding that, he indicated yesterday. Some other specific from the governor's proclamation number 74 are as follows. Bars and breweries can open at 25% of seated occupancy with a Louisiana Department of Health permit. Pool halls and tattoo parlors can open with strict sanitation and timelines. Commercial swimming pools, massage facilities, spas, food courts and malls, skating and event centers can open with restrictions. Restaurants, cafes, and coffee shops can continue to operate with restrictions. Beauty shops, salons, and barber shops can continue to operate with restrictions. Retailers and churches can expand to 50% occupancy. And the outdoor amusement parks and sleepaway camps will remain closed. Those, repeat, will remain closed. School and organized youth activities such as daycare centers and camps can reopen. And lastly, visits to senior care facilities should be prohibited. Large venues such as sit-down dining areas, movie theaters, sporting venues, and places of worship can operate on a moderate physical distancing. Elective surgeries can resume on an outpatient basis. Gyms and fitness centers can remain open, but at the 50% occupancy, and these occupancy counts include employees as well as customers. Casinos and video poker establishments can operate at 50% occupancy, and they're limited to 75% of their gaming equipment. And also, they should have an approved plan by the Louisiana Gaming Control Board prior to operation. Racetracks can open, but without spectators. And all other businesses or organizations are allowed to continue operations at 50% occupancy with proper social distance, wearing a mask. Lobby areas and waiting areas closed except for bathrooms and wait outside following social distancing. COVID-19 is more likely, it appears now, to be spread through air than off surfaces, and you shouldn't discount cleaning, those sorts of things, but it's that air-to-air transmission that apparently is the biggest problem, and that's the reason for a lot of emphasis on wearing a mask more so than before. Businesses contain more information and are urged to do so by contacting the state office of fire marshal, and that website is opensafely.la.gov, and citizens, if they have a question on occupancy, can feel free to contact our fire department, who will be glad to assist with determining what that occupancy limit is for your facility. Non-essential businesses open in Phase 1 can continue, but again are limited at 50% occupancy, strict social distances, and again, that count is for employees as well as citizens at those venues. Businesses and church employees who work directly with the public should have covering or a face cloth mask. With the exception of gaming establishment, no business or church is required to register. However, it is strongly recommended to do so you can get more accurate and more timely information. And you can register at opensafely.la.gov. Access to City Hall remains very accessible as well as other city facilities, and we do suggest, though, that citizens consider making an appointment, and you can get the phone number for the department you wish to do business with through our website, which is www.bossiercity.org. And although not required, citizens are requested to wear a mask when they visit to see municipal facilities. It's important for all of us to know that the guidelines for individuals remain unchanged during all phases of this pandemic. So it's imperative that we all continue to do the things, preventive actions such as washing or sanitizing our hands, avoid touching our face, sneezing into the elbow, wear a face mask in public and in mass transit, stay home when you feel sick, and follow the guidance of your medical providers. Some of the following non-essential businesses which shall remain closed to the public include the following: amusement parks, splash pads, water parks, arcades, fairs, indoor playgrounds, festivals, children's play centers, indoor play centers, theme parks, and concerts and music halls. At this point, I'm going to ask our two department heads in public safety, fire department, and police to make their comments. Chief Zagone.
Good morning, and once again, thank all the healthcare workers, first responders for all the hard work and effort on the front line of this COVID pandemic. Not much to report today. Just want to say if you need help with occupant load, just call Fire Prevention at 741-8704, and we'll be glad to assist you in figuring out your occupant load, 50%, all that. We've been helping businesses over the last several weeks get and understand where they can be and how to get to that point. The other thing, just please remember to maintain your social distancing and wear a mask when possible, just to keep yourself safe. That's all I really have today.
Yeah, good morning. I would also like to thank the first responders and the medical community being on the front line of this pandemic. I'd also like to thank the citizens of Bossier for adhering to the guidelines set forth, which makes it easier for the police department to adhere to and tend to normal business instead of having to be concerned with people not social distancing. So therefore, I really appreciate that. I would also like to remind people that if you can conduct your business with the police department via phone call, our non-emergency number is 741-8605. If you need to obtain accident reports, police reports, you can use that number, and we can get you what you need either via the email or via the mail. If you need to make contact with detectives, you can call 741-8641 and make appointments. We strongly encourage that. And I'd also like to remind people during this time that people may be subjected to scams with our stimulus payments being put out. It's my understanding that they're coming in some non-discreet looking envelopes. Make sure you check your mail regularly and check all your mail. Just don't assume that it's junk mail. Go through your mail and make sure that you go through it thoroughly. Also, if you have or you feel like you're being subjected to a scam, you can call 741-8605 and report that, and we'll get investigators on that to follow up on it for you. Thank you.
Yesterday, the governor announced that our progress as a state, the trend line is very good. There are 3 districts within the state that are having some issues. One of them is to our east, Monroe, then I think a couple down south. But by and large, as a state, we're doing very well, he said, and we're going in the right directions, making good progress. But again, he was asked the question, should this problem come back in the fall? He emphasized the fact that it's not going to go away. It's not a question of coming back. It's not going away. All we can expect is during the time it takes to get a vaccine that is effective and implemented, we still got to follow all these preventive guidelines. So hopefully we can reduce the number of people having to be hospitalized and the deaths. But still, this is a battle we have to all continue to operate and comply with the directions that have been given to us. Do not ignore the social distancing requirements and wear the mask whenever appropriate. Some of the events that happen on Memorial Days and at others, large gatherings around the world have created the potential for an increase in the number of cases. We hope that won't occur, but we certainly have to be mindful of it. So, again, follow the guidelines of the federal and state, and we're going to be dealing with this horrible problem, unfortunately, for a long time. That's all for our briefing today. Our next briefing will be Thursday, June 18th. And again, thanks to all of you in Bossier City and Bossier Parish in the northwest corner of the state for following the guidelines that are helping keeping our area of the state healthier. Thank you.